It's Friday night, and you know what that means.
And you know what that means. Shots. Shots.
You could go on a rampage because that's what's happened tonight.
Heck yeah.
And only 2 days before Double or Nothing, in which we actually still got more matches confirmed for it tonight.
Yeah, we got a lot of matches coming up Sunday. It's gonna be a fun one. It'll be a long one. It'll be a fun one though. That was Brian Danielson versus Matt Sydal.
Which,
Um,
we,
Obviously we know who wins.
yep, although they both got to enjoy in the very beginning, um, it was just AEW chants, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And they both were just soaking it in the beginning. So
yeah,
because they
just
didn't,
AEW chance.
and I think part of it is they didn't have entrances, at least live on the show. They started off
Right,
with both competitors in the ring ready to go. So part of that was
right.
probably just simply, hey, the show's starting. But this match was also gold because Seidel and Danielson both being very flexible, technical, with some speed in there. They were able to do a lot of fun things.
There was a lot of cool like reversals that happened during the match. I wanted to highlight one of them, but you go ahead though.
The one that I don't specifically have like in the notes was because I don't exactly know what the heck happened. They were in
Mhm.
one of those like ground surfboard positions in the end, like pulling back, but it was a submission on the ground, and I think Seidel either Danielson did a somersault to counter it into another submission with both of them rolling, or Seidel tried to escape a submission and Danielson rolled with him and kept it on. But they did like a full tumble together.
There was a lot of dope reversals. The like I like the that flying when Matt Seidel went up for the flying knee
The
and he drops.
Meteora.
Yeah. What? Okay, that's what that is.
Yep. And Danielson, goes down with them. They're on the ground, but Danielson grabs a leg, rolls through, and puts them in a single leg crab. Eventually
Mhm.
transitions that into more of like a knee bar, and Seidel gets the rope and gets broken. After
Yeah,
this, it went for a while longer, but eventually
pretty
there was
well.
a speedy spot where they're running back and forth
Oh.
all over, and Danielson hits him with the Bazaico knee, they call it here.
Mhm.
Um, then the hammer and anvil elbows, and then choked him out in a guillotine.
Yeah. Oh, I did also want to point out Brian Danielson. That dude is incredible because I still couldn't tell if if his ankle was actually hurting or if he was just selling it. Because he sells it so subtly to make you think that it might be an actual injury.
Yep. And another thing worth noting is, of course, with a lot of with all the BCC matches, Regal was on commentary. But there's
Yeah,
someone who's usually there on Friday nights. That wasn't. There was no Chris Jericho.
which is odd. There was a Ricky Starks up there though.
There was Ricky Starks, Taz, sorry, I meant to say Taz last for a reason, but I messed up. Excalibur.
Mhm.
When Regal came out, and again Taz, and the reason why that's important is because after this, we get the
Yeah,
Hookhausen promo, setting up for
Hookhausen
their
promo.
match at Double or Nothing, which is my main event.
Mhm.
I'm not even
Yeah,
gonna have to
yeah.
pay for the pay-per-view. I'm just gonna watch the hour pre-show and be done.
Hey, I'd be all right with that. Like, let's just watch the Hookhausen match and then we can read about the rest later.
But as much as
But
I was happy to see a Hookhausen promo, and it was just telling the story of how they became a team, and then Sterling and Nees coming in, and how the match got set up. I love it. It's usually a highlight of the show for me. But one
but
of the
dude,
two, okay, so the Hookhausen promo is down at like 3 or 4 on this episode of Rampage because what came next is either
dude,
number one or number two, depending on how you want to look at it.
yeah, I'm gonna say so.
Meaningfulness,
Holy shit factor. This was definitely the biggest moment of the show. Funny moment later, but dude, this was amazing. So we cut to the Hardys intro music. Like the camera's not showing anything yet, but when the camera finally pans down, you see the Young Bucks dressed as the Hardys doing the delete, and Matt's doing his Jeff Hardy air humping,
Hey, they got
and it was
called Hardy Boys cosplayers, and they lived up to it.
yeah, like they've played up that Hardy Boy cosplay thing.
We even
Was
had
it
a Lita.
Cutler was dressed as Lita, thong and everything. Oh God. But
But
dude, the best part though, the big old drop back in the back, this big black drop back. I thought it was just part of. I didn't think it was movable or anything, but the drop back falls down, and guess who we see back there, everybody? Gangrel. I haven't seen Gangrel in like 30 years, so I got super hyped.
yeah, it was definitely unexpected. Comes down, he's like they're totally
Dude,
into it. He's enjoying it. Everything's good. They went all out with the Hardy Boys stuff for the entire match. At one point, Matt Jackson was on the top rope. Okay, first, I don't know if it really even needs to be stated. Matt was Matt, Nick was Jeff.
yeah.
Um, but Matt was on the ropes, and to kind of mock the Hardys, he starts acting old and hurt and everything, and then does an elbow drop like to as a double team move to the guy being held. So nothing too crazy, and they're kind of playing up that they're old and they're hurt, and the fans started chanting and going along with this whole
I
bit.
loved it. I loved it.
What did
The
they chant?
fans, the fans started chanting, "You still got it. You still got it."
And eventually they won with a twist of fate and a swanton bomb. There wasn't okay. I don't even remember who they faced. I recognize one names with
I,
commentary, but it was just a match that happened to get everything over for
it
with
was
the Hardys match, twist of fate,
yeah.
swanton.
Like I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was either. I was still fangirling over Gangrel. And
Which
I'm like,
back to Gang Rail, as the Young Bucks are in the ring and they're celebrating their victory, Gangrel gets in and they're letting him like have his moment of spotlight in the middle of the ring, and then they
mhm.
turn on Gangrel.
I'm saying they do a very Young Bucks thing and turn on him. And as they're going for that BTE trigger, um, cue Hardy music,
They
of
make for
course.
sweet time, but they come down to the ring and they have a standoff. The two teams are about to go at it back and forth. The Hardys have it set up for a double swanton. Mr.
Yep.
Thong comes into the ring and interferes, but that just ends up with Gangrel really having his moment to shine, hitting the Impaler
Yeah.
DT on the Cutler to wrap it up.
Yeah, buddy. And then the Bucks run away like little bitches.
They just watch Cutler take the beating, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
After that, we
Yeah.
go right from members of the Undisputed Elite to another in a way because Darby challenges Kyle O'Reilly because
Yeah.
Kyle specifically was the one that jumped off the top rope with Sting's ankle in a chair and injured Sting, so he couldn't be there on Sunday. He says if Kyle doesn't want to have the match, that he will interfere. And I thought this was good. I like it showed
Yeah.
motivation, and you don't really hear like this logic used too often, even though I feel like it's solid logic. He says he will interfere in every single match. At Double or Nothing, he will get into the Young Bucks match. He will interfere in Adam Cole's versus Show for the Owen final. He will not stop until he gets his hand on Kyle O'Reilly. The match just ended up getting the graphic card later and was confirmed.
Yep. So, yep, another confirmed match for Double or Nothing. I think that'll be a really good one, actually, because I like both of them a lot in the ring.
Both of them play up a fighting style where you look at them and go like, "Holy crap, they're getting the shit kicked out of them."
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I think it's going to be a good match to see,
And I
actually. Like, it's weird that they kind of just set it up last minute like that, but
and I
I'm
think
not
Kyle's
complaining.
style, the way that how I've said I think he wrestles like how a wrestler would in like a fight situation, because the way that he will always just grab whatever limb that you give him and attack it. So I think with Darby, the way that he wrestles recklessly with speed and everything, Cal's one of only a handful of people that I would be very interested in see how he counters and uses that against him and has fun. Another would be Danielson, but like there's few people that can move as quickly and as technically good as those two.
Yeah, yeah, like that's gonna be a great one to see, definitely. Um, but yeah, so what do we so next match comes up. Man, this is one of my favorite moments here. We got Dante Martin already in the ring. Um, and but Dante Martin is going to be facing Max Caster. So Max comes out doing his normal, his normal freestyle, talking some shit about Dante and how his brother's still hurt, and he needs to be like he's gonna put him up on the shelf with his brother. Thought that was pretty clever. I always like his little freestyles. But the best moment of this is afterwards. Is after so I guess I should have
There's a
mentioned
build to it.
that
There's a
yeah,
build
I
to
should
it.
have mentioned that Max Caster does come out here accompanied by the Ass Boys and Billy Gunn wheeling in Anthony Bowens, who is injured at this time. But
Still has his boombox in his chair.
yeah, he does have the boombox in the chair with him, and he's just being wheeled around by Papa.
But Max Caster's rap kind of came to an end when he made reference to the Gun Club and called them the Ass Boys, and they kind of interrupted them. And you think that
Yeah,
there's going to have a dissension, but instead, each of the Ass Boys would like a chance with the microphone. And they go to
yeah,
do Bowen's bit where he calls out the city and say the acclaimed have arrived. But the first one said Los Angeles. They're in Las
yeah,
Vegas. The
yeah. They
second
both
one, I
said
think
Los Angeles.
they both said LA.
Yeah, they both said Los Angeles.
And
So
then when
yeah,
it
they both screwed up completely on purpose.
Bowens gets the mic, he does it the correct way, but not like how it normally is, where that's the end of all the talking. There's
Yeah,
there's one
he's
more bit,
like so Billy Gunn is still standing behind him, and as he finishes, the acclaimed have arrived. He yells, "Scissor me, daddy ass!"
and reaches over his shoulder, and they do the scissors thing together. And
Oh
you
my
get
gosh!
just enough time to embrace it and laugh,
And
and then Bowens
then
kind of reacts because Dante's flying over the top rope and launches himself on everybody.
yeah, yeah. So everybody starts wailing on him, including Papa. Because he can't be attacking his boys like that. And they
Papa.
so Billy Gunn ends up throwing Dante into the ring, and he's about to try and come in there and start whooping his ass some more. And Aubrey says, "No, get the fuck out of here."
Kicks them all out.
She kicks everybody out as
It's
per usual. And then yeah,
match
and
isn't
then so then
anything
we actually
super
get a match
amazing.
started. Yeah,
It's kind of what you expect.
Dante
Dante's
kind of
gonna do
carries
his
the
things.
match. Max is underwhelming as usual.
Dante ends up winning with his like double jump moonsault. They lands right into a pin.
Yeah, yeah,
I said to you during the show, I do feel like you're starting to see, like, if you look at a picture of Dante 6 months ago, 12 months ago to now, you are seeing him kind of like the baby faceness is just a little bit. It's starting to go away a little bit. And
yeah.
because when he was
Yeah,
celebrating, I don't know, it was a little bit different. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, I see it happening.
starting
After
to turn into a grown ass man, I guess, maybe.
after that,
Hopefully.
it was the Adam Cole promo. Okay, it was Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe promo for the Owen Cup final.
I'm gonna say
However,
Samoa Joe was there too.
Adam Cole did most of the talking, which is probably beneficial because if you think about Joe's personality, it makes all the sense in the world. But one
Yeah,
thing that I think is worth noting about it is actually Adam Cole sat there and praised Samoa Joe for everything he's done in the business, his legacy, helping build Ring of Honor, places Adam Cole went after. And then he says, I have to go and take on that legacy. I have to try and fight that now. And then
Mhm.
we get the normal Adam Cole cockiness. Like, I'm a top star. I'm going to be here for a long time. All that good stuff. And then you just get like a closing line with Joe. And I forgot what he says, your time has come, is essentially the end of Joe. He just gets the end of it. He gets the somber, or like the more stoic, heavy last words to the promo.
Yep. Yeah.
Probably the most
I don't know.
effective way to use them, don't you think?
Definitely.
Well, I take that back. Joe is actually a great talker,
He is, yeah.
but
I think he is.
in a video package, I totally understand that if you're going to use one out of those two guys, if you're going to use one of
Mhm.
them to punctuate the end of the promo, Joe makes more sense. Unless there's
Yeah.
like a blood death feud and like Adam Cole
Because
has
yeah,
something
Joe
great to
is
say.
because Joe's got that face that says, I don't have to say it. I don't have to say it. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Like I just don't have to tell you, it's just gonna happen.
Well, I mean, it does help that by comparison, Samoa Joe looks like he could eat Adam Cole and still be hungry.
He does. I'd probably still be hungry. There's not a whole lot to Adam Cole. Like
Big difference there in size. So, like, yeah, one of them is definitely just physically going to look more intimidating than the other. Plus, Samoa Joe has like a mean look of snarl on his face 90% of
yeah.
the time.
Yep. Yeah, he does that face.
And we all know that Adam Cole's secretly a sweetheart.
Yeah. Yeah, he's say the one time that I've seen him outside of wrestling, he was just smiling and thanking people constantly. I was like, that's not Adam Cole.
Can we just talk about Adam Cole and Samoa Joe forever, or just completely skip the really long next segment because I
Uh,
don't want to talk about Sammy
we
Tay?
got to talk about it. We okay, so we'll talk about the good things here.
So we're going right to the
I'll
title belt.
I'm gonna take over here. So here's the Scorpio Sky belt presentation. We start off with Dan Lambert talking. I really never care when that guy touches the mic. I think someone just saying here he's kind of feels a little bit differently, but I don't ever want to hear that guy talk again. He's annoying.
I
Get
think
him off the
he
screen.
is good at burning people from like an old man perspective, but he just talks too much.
Yep, yep. Get him off the screen. I don't want to see him anymore. But anyways, so highlights from this because we're just gonna go quick on this. Scorpio's red suit, pretty dope. I dig it. Um, New belt, way better than the old belt. I dig
Basics,
it. It's
basic still
purple and gold.
design, gold
Yeah, like same.
strap, purple like accents on like the trims and like the ribbon part of the plates
Yeah,
and everything.
it looks.
Lakers
It's
colors.
got. It's got like a like Lakers colors. Like it's got this kind of more regal look to it. You know, like I am the champion. Like it screams champion more to me. But yeah, so you cut but after you get Sammy's or Scorpio's new belt, you of course you cut to Frankie, Ty, and Sammy barging into America's top team, their gym. Um, they talk a whole lot. I don't care. We need to get this feud over with. Um, so they go over to the big belt case they have in there, bust open the belt case, and they all take a belt each.
And in
Uh,
obnoxious, disgusting fashion, they don't outright say it, but heavily alluded to in a common sense kind of way. Sammy and Tay says they're gonna celebrate on the title again, and they just
yeah.
give that obnoxious like tongue out look at the camera and blah.
Yeah, we don't like it. But yeah, Sammy tells Scorpio to come get the belts on Sunday. So then we cut back to Scorpio, who's super pissed now because this is like the millionth time they've stolen belts and or destroyed them. So he sets up a mixed trios match between with him, Ethan Page, and Paige Manzan versus Sammy, Frankie, and Ty. This is going to be my take a bathroom break match for
The
sure on Sunday.
the one thing to
Um,
add of note is the fact that he said if they lose, they will never get a title match again. And
yeah,
that sucks because I don't see that happening, which means we
yeah,
have to deal with this for longer until Sammy gets another title match, which means there's probably gonna be like another month of this bullshit.
yeah. We are super tired of this shit. But let's like somehow manage to get this feud off of my television screen forever. Immediately. Please. I'm begging you, Tony Khan.
I think fans want to support Scorpio, but he's never, whether it be his personality not clicking when he does get to talk enough, maybe it's because of what he has to talk about and who he's associated with. I feel like people want to support him. That's not going to happen until you get him away from them.
Yeah. Like yeah, like that's what I see when I see Scorpio. I want to like him. I even want to like Ethan Page, but I just don't like this group thing they have going on. Ugh. All right. Yeah, we done with that. All right. Main event time. It's time for the main event.
How much of
Um,
the promo did you catch? Because I know you had to step away.
I didn't pay too much attention to it. Go ahead and fill us in.
Basically, Ruby's having self doubt because when she came in, she was super, super hot and just like has cooled off and she hasn't done anything. So she feels like she needs to win. Statlander says she's been there since day one. She hasn't won any titles. What she have to show for it? No titles, a blown knee. She was a backup for the tournament. She's lost her friends, all that good stuff. She's like, no, no one's gonna stop me anymore. Um,
Oh,
that was essentially the promo. The
okay, so decent promo.
match itself was it started off the very however long of it first few minutes was basically just to show off Statlander's strength, which I guess
Yeah,
makes a whole lot more sense
like
considering where they went towards the end, even though
I
ending.
think she's, yeah, I think Chris is pretty dope as a powerhouse. Like I loved her some of her stuff, like that big clothesline
Hmm.
earlier on in the match. I love that one. And just yeah, she just kind of like swings Ruby around quite a bit
Yep. Ruby has
throughout the match.
to regularly attack either the previously injured shoulder and arm of Statlander, or there was a few times they she took some good shots to the leg, but it ended up mostly being about the shoulder and everything. Um,
Mhm.
Chris looks like she was about to win. Statlander had her in like I don't even know what it's called or if she has a specific name for it, but she has him up in like the suplex, like a fisherman suplex buster that she spins him around and drops him and then pins him. Almost had her. She wanted to put her in the move something about a spider. Did you catch? Did you remember the name?
Yeah. No.
There's a submission that she has that's really really complicated where she kind of like grabs her arms, wraps them, and kind of like is in a squat position with them stretched underneath her. And she was trying to do
Mhm.
that, but as she's trying to lock arms, Ruby starts kicking the arms and shoulders, gets loose, and we get a freaking roll up win to move on to the finals in the main event of the show right before Double or Nothing.
Ruby getting the roll up pin win. She'll be facing Britt Baker on Sunday, which everybody knew this was what was going to be the final outcome of this tournament from the beginning, I think. Like, there was less speculation than even the men's tournament on who would get to the final.
The only thing that really threw a wrench into my plans at all was like, okay, Statlander was a backup, but they had her win her match and move on. I'm like, that
Hmm.
threw me off. I'm like, okay, maybe, maybe.
Nah, yeah, it was whoever was supposed to be in her slot must have been supposed to win, and they didn't want to change that. I don't know. Weird. Who knows?
But
Either
speaking
way,
of Brit,
after the match, the best part, yeah. So of course, After Ruby wins the match, Tony Schiavone hops in the ring with the microphone. He's about to let Ruby talk, and Britt interrupts by entering as
Her music
and she
goes,
just her music goes. She stays at the top of the entrance ramp,
and
and
before
she
she
doesn't
ever
even
gets to
say a
say a
word.
word,
She
Ruby
doesn't
cuts her
say a
off
word.
and says, "Everyone's been hearing you talk for 2 years. Nobody wants to hear you talk anymore." And the fans start booing Ruby over that.
Yeah,
And Britt is just at the stage. She does the like with the mic thing and just has the smuggest smile on her face because the fans
yeah,
are booing Ruby and they wanted to cheer Britt, and Ruby even knew she fucked up because she
yep.
ended up saying like,
It
"Okay,
was
I get it, guys. I'm a fan of her too."
yeah. Like she tried to work the crowd. She tried, but I think just nobody. I don't think. I don't. I just don't think that they've quantified how much people like Britt Baker,
It
like compared to every other female wrestler. Like it's like Britt and then everyone else.
I was literally waiting for a break to say the same thing. It's like it
Yeah.
shows how much of a different level Britt is on compared to Ruby because just standing at the top, it was like, here's the A-list star.
Hmm.
You know what? It's like when those like a high schooler challenges Michael Jordan to a basketball contest.
Yeah. Like,
It's
yeah, you might be good for a high schooler, but you're a high schooler.
He's like, I'm Britt Baker. Do you hear these fans? Do you hear them?
Yeah, because yeah, she's like, I'm pretty sure that there was no plans for her to say anything there, but the fact that Ruby just didn't get anything from the crowd that she was expecting made it so much better for Britt because the smile just got bigger and bigger as the crowd wouldn't let Ruby get a word out.
He won the segment without saying a damn word.
Yeah,
Ruby
that says a lot.
Ruby went
Britt's
on to
going babyface.
say, "Chris is my friend. Look what I did to her. I've told you for how long I'm gonna hurt you. You
Yep.
have a receipt coming. So it's Sunday at Double or Nothing. I'm gonna hurt you." And Britt just still Ruby's
She's
in there
just
trying
like,
to be intense, and Britt's just smiling like, "Yeah, okay."
yeah, she's like, yeah, yeah, whatever. Everybody loves me. Nobody likes you. You can see it. I'm going to win. Britt Baker's going to win that match, and she's going babyface because she's just too likable.
And we talked about it with Dynamite too. With some of the things that happened with the whole Jamie and the telling her the two of them to go to stay in the back, and then what happened with
Right.
Jamie after and everything else. So it might be that time where they start to build the dissension, that break off,
Hmm.
and you kind of know which one's going to go which way in that, especially since by comparison in wrestling, it's usually the bigger, stronger person who is the bad guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Usually, always.
So, I want piece of, and also whoever does the turn is usually the person who has the most to gain. So both of those point towards it would make sense for Jamie to turn on Britt, and Britt ends up going face, and that just partnership. It doesn't have to be the most obvious like turn, just
Yeah.
or anything like
It's
that.
just, yeah, it's just, yeah, she's going to not be having her cronies interfere in all her matches. And that's going to be the only change to her being a babyface. She can still be exactly the same, just her cronies can't interfere.
And eventually they have a little like spat over it, and somebody gets slapped, but it doesn't have to happen all super suddenly.
Yeah,
Especially since they don't have pay-per-views that often. Yeah, but
yeah,
it's sensible. It makes sense. And they do a lot of stories that make sense. They just happen and they do them well. That's the big thing. They do the sensible thing in creative ways that are entertaining. Like Wardlow versus MJF. You see that whole thing coming a mile away, but you're chomping at the bits for it.
yeah, yeah. The whole thing, the whole way there was just it was too entertaining, man. Too entertaining. Oh, sorry, but yeah, I'm excited for that one to come to a head. But So that was our rampage. But yeah, biggest moments definitely Gangrel and Scissor Me Daddy Ass.
Yep. And so looking back at the notes, the new matches that were made, Darby and Kyle O'Reilly and the tag team trio match. So two matches added to the card 2 days before the show. I did not
Mhm.
notice if either one of them were specifically maybe put on the pre-show. I just know that they were both confirmed.
Yep. Yeah. It actually didn't specify that any of those were pre-show. It just said 8 p.m. pay-per-view. Only match that we have confirmed for the pre-show is the main event of the whole night, the Hookhausen match.
It's going to be a 60-minute barn burner starring Danhausen and Hook. I'm okay with that.
If that's a 60-minute match, I'd die. Like, there's no way that would be a 60-minute match.
You would
But
probably die because if Danhausen went 60 minutes, there would have to be a lot of comedy bits.
oh yeah, for sure. And then you got Mark Sterling, who you couldn't take seriously either. So there would have to be a whole lot to that. But yeah, that is odd. That's the only match that's confirmed for the pre-show because all the other matches they're saying are during the main show.
See if I can look this up real quick. Is there a
Mhm.
outs so but to touch on what you're saying top moments? Yes. Just pure hilarity. Scissor me
Yeah,
daddy ass moment of the night.
scissor me daddy ass.
Most holy
Everybody
shit
like
meaningful
I know,
moment. Gangrel, Hardy Boys, that whole thing because it was a huge story beat and it was an awesome moment.
yeah, yeah, like that was really dope. I love the Bucks imitation of the Hardys. Like it's not, I guess it's not hard to imitate the Hardys, but like even the little subtleties they got down. I love that one.
And that's part of the reason why I actually didn't even notice at first that it was
Right.
not
When you
the Hardys because I looked away from the screen and I started kind of doing the thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, like when
then
you first see Nick, I'm like, Jeff looks a little slimmer, more cut today. I was like, oh, that's not Jeff Hardy. That's Nick Jackson. Yeah. Oh, also another big takeaway from this episode. Cutler, put your thumb away, man.
I really thought, and I don't know how I would have received it, but when he got into the ring and right before he got like the Impaler DDT from Gangrel, he kind of made a gesture like, "Come on, like I'm in a thong," kind of thing or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I'm just conditioned to certain things happening in wrestling or whatever. I really thought at some point he was going to get a wedgie.
That would have made the night.
I just
That would
don't
have
know.
probably been the funny moment.
At first, we were so into what was going on with the Bucks being as the Hardys and then the Gangrel. Neither of us even noticed Cutler in the background was dressed as Lita for a minute.
Yeah.
I had to wait till
Yeah, it took a
commentary
minute.
said something.
Yeah, like I did not notice. Cause yeah, cause you got the holy shit moment with Gangrel coming out and you can't really pay attention to the rest after that. Cause it's just holy shit.
Yeah,
Gangrel
it's tough.
out of nowhere.
It's tough.
Like
We
an
had
RKO.
two amazing entrances tonight, and I love them both, but for completely different reasons. Because the Acclaimed and Gun Club's entrance tonight might be one of the funniest things I see all year.
Yep.
But Gangrel, fucking, and the whole thing, the Hardy's cosplay, and then Gangrel, it just was levels. It was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this is good.
Cause
And
cause
then
yeah, it's you start out with okay, the Hardys are coming up. No, that's not the Hardys. Oh shit. Then you're like, okay, Gangrel. Like oh, Cutler's wearing a thong too. Not so much that, but
I mean, he's kind of tall. He's got some long legs.
He does got some long legs.
Besides Hookhausen, match you are looking most forward to Sunday night.
Uh, the triple threat. I can't say threat. The triple threat tag match. Keith Lee and Swerve versus Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I think that might be the actual match of the show. Like that, like just the show that Swerve, Jungle Boy, and Ricky Starks put on Dynamite just lets me know that this is going to be one to definitely look out for. I think we talked about it. I definitely got Starks and Hobbs picking up the win as new tag team champions, though.
I'm excited for that one. Same reason, like in terms of like the work, it could be really, really fun. Another one that could be a really, really good match, but I don't know if the investment will be there as much, is the House of Black match, Death Triangle.
Yes.
Because all of those guys can really, really go,
Yep, that
but
should be a good one. It might not be a long match because it's yeah, because like you're saying, it was one of the like things the matches that had less build up to it, and we don't really know what like the whole angle that they had to go with Ray Phoenix out was kind of weird, and now that it's kind of coming back together, this feud isn't exactly making a whole lot of sense to me anymore. But the match itself, yeah, I agree, because every single one of those guys is good in the ring.
and I'm surprisingly not overly excited for this match. I think it's because partially because I know what to expect in terms of it. It's going to be quality.
Hmm.
Um, I'm looking forward to the World Championship match because it's legitimately one of those rare times in a World Championship match that you it doesn't feel like we know.
Yeah. Like you don't know for sure. Adam Page, like I could see him retaining the belt and getting to do what he wants to do is saying that he's saving AEW from CM Punk. Like that would make a whole lot of sense to see him retain, but it would also see make a whole lot of sense for CM Punk to win and go full heel turn,
I don't even know
which I kind of see.
necessarily if he needs to go full heel turn yet, but there's certain dominoes that you know are going to fall within like the next year or so.
Hmm.
And CM Punk is one of those few dominoes because it does feel like we're eventually going to, within like the next 18 months, because I don't know who's going to win the title or win, or we're going to circle back to MJF and CM Punk for the world title. I feel like that's going
I,
to happen.
I think I think we will. I would like to see another MJFC Punk CM Punk match because that the last match between those two was a really good one, really good one. So
And
I'd be down.
not only that, but after Wardlow, there's because of how well Max does, like in terms of wins and everything, MJF is a top person. So after Wardlow, he's too big for the TNT title.
Yep.
So what's next? So he's going to be moving up. CM Punk makes sense, but you don't want to circle back to that quite yet. So that's why I could see if
Right.
Hangman wins, maybe it's MJF at All Out.
Mm,
Then
okay.
6 months into MJF's thing, we get to circle back to Punk or something. But I feel like the next set of dominoes are going to include people like Adam Cole,
Yeah.
CM
Yeah.
Punk,
Because yeah, those are.
MJF.
As I was going to say, there, those are three names. Like those three guys are going to have the belt at some point.
There's also two other people I could see having a second title run mixed in with those because when Kenny comes back,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
And say I don't know. I'm like so backstory for me. I don't know a ton about Kenny Omega other than the YouTube videos that I've watched about him. So you have to excuse me, guys. But I do know how big of like how big of a draw he is for pro wrestling in general.
And I'm not even saying to take it from Adam. I'm just saying within like the next like 3 to 4 champions or whatever.
Hmm.
If Hangman loses, you could see him being a champion again. Not necessarily like lose it to whoever and then win it back, but you could see Hangman being like the first person to hold it twice and come back after like 1 or 2 champions in between.
Definitely, because yeah, he's going to lose it. I think he's going to lose it soon. Maybe not at maybe not on Sunday, but I think by the next one he'll probably lose it. Because yeah, the belt's going to be having to change hands soon because they've got way too many guys that are just ready to be at the top
I feel that
on their roster.
all out probably is the latest.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what I said. Maybe not this match. He might lose this Sunday, but maybe not Sunday, but definitely by the next pay per view, like you said. I think. Yep. Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
But we do have Forbidden Door. I don't know if that really lines up with anything for him to lose at Forbidden Door, but it could. Um, and especially that way you can still let CM Punk lose and then be like, okay, time to move on with the next person. But you won't. You would have a relatively short build.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's just it's wild to me that this company's so new, but they just have so many guys that you have to see like at the top at some point on their roster.
Like
So
another name that we haven't mentioned because they've kept him busy and he's new, but Keith Lee's got to get in there at some point.
definitely, but it'd be a crime if they did not have him competing for the title at some point in the next couple years.
He might even like have have match and then lose and like just circle back to it when it is his time after a couple of those dominoes have fallen. Because Tony Khan he said the first 4 champions from Jericho to Hangman, those were set in stone the entire time. He knew that long-term plan. He said he has a good idea of like the next ones, but it wasn't really set in stone the same way. But you kind of can just look at the roster and you kind of there's only about maybe 5 or 6 guys that could fit like the next four kind of situation.
Because I don't even see like Brian Danielson being in there, which is wild to me because he was so huge in WWE.
He had his match. They made a big deal. Now he has a nice story. That's also kind of why I feel like I didn't want to include Mox as a potential second reign
Yeah,
in the immediate future because I feel like he has something going on. Not to
because
say
yeah, the
that,
Blackpool Combat Club thing is going to be a thing for a minute. Like I think they're really wanting to do this tag team thing.
but I mean that could split it in a number of ways. Like he could end up being the champion contender, and then like Yuta and Danielson can be a tag team. Although that hasn't really been the focus, but Wheeler's
Right.
been gone for weeks now. Um, but
Yeah.
it's hard
Either way,
because
you're
I wouldn't consider doing that for a little while, and especially as a champion thing. Like it's such a new thing. Like you have other things you can fill out, but I think that one we're getting to the point with some of these things where a lot of it's going to be faction wars.
well, they have 500,000 factions right now.
Hmm.
Like, uh, whoever's writing AEW loves the shit out of factions.
It's New Japan
Wow.
style.
'Cause,
Uh,
yeah,
one of the big
everything's a
reasons,
faction.
one of the big reasons, and you used to see this if you watched it, if you went back and watched in like the late '90s and actually paid attention to it as an adult and like as opposed to the kids that we were at the time. They had
Mhm.
massive factions, and it was easy ways to keep the stories going without necessarily having the same two people interacting over and over and over again.
That's true. That's true. It's like back in the day when we had Goldberg versus NWO. Like it wasn't Hogan all the time. It might have been Nash. It might have been Scott Hall. But it was always one of those three because nobody else in the NWO roster was big enough. But yeah, I get what you're saying because yeah, it'll always. But it kept it relevant because it always just made sense. Hey, our group's got beef with him, so next guy is fighting him.
Or even Danielson on his own when he was able to make an extended story out of just him destroying Dark Order member after Dark Order member after Dark Order member before he fought Page for the title.
There
Although
we go.
we can stop with the MJF blatantly doing it every time somebody wants to fight him. We can stop with that.
Nah, man. He's got to keep hiring random people to fight Wardlow on his behalf.
It's like playing a game of Mortal Kombat. It's like, okay, every time you want to go play, you have to go through the entire tower so you can fight the boss. Like, can't I just go and fight him one on one just for fun? Nope.
No, not MJF. You don't just fight MJF. Come on now. Oh, speaking of that, because that's another match that I'll be into very much. What do you think the result of MJF Wardlow
I was actually
will end up
surprised when
being?
I asked that it wasn't one of the ones that mentioned, but we talked about like it's hard. MJF, neither of these people should be taking a loss with how they're being
Yeah,
built. Wardlow being built like an unstoppable force, MJF being pushed to the moon, and you kind of make all of his matches matter. Um, Wardlow has gotten the shine through the entire feud, so it'd be good for MJF to be able to continue his growth and, the rocket that's strapped on his back if he actually comes out and gets the win. And considering it won't be done in a very clean fashion, he would have to do something sneaky or
right.
underhandedly. Wardlow's okay. And if you look at the last few weeks, he can lose to MJF like many have done before and still come everyone knows that he's a monster. Technically he lost to CM Punk and even CM Punk said, "No, you won that match." That one's hard. I'm going to stick with MJF. I'm going to go against the hero overcoming everything for the sake of
Hmm.
MJF's a top fucking guy.
Yeah, it's hard to pick that one. It really is because before before the build up, I would if you had said MJF versus Wardlow, I would have said MJF all day. But this build up, it really has Wardlow looking like this unstoppable force, like how Goldberg was back in the day. So it's just you could see it going either way here. I actually am kind of leaning more towards Wardlow.
Another thing I didn't think about until kind of right in there was the dominoes that we were talking about earlier.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to put Wardlow in those next handful of dominoes. I don't feel like he's there.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because that's true. If he beats MJF, there's nowhere else for him to go
And
besides championship.
the other part of that would be is when you could circle back to it down the line. Okay, but Wardlow wouldn't be the champion, so MJF would have to be the champion. Are you saying Wardlow's going to beat MJF? Because if Wardlow beats MJF down the line, then it makes all the sense for MJF to win now. If Wardlow, either way, if
Yeah.
Wardlow down the
Yeah.
line again, I don't know if you can. Yeah, I don't know how that would play out in the future because that's another one that would make all the sense to circle back to, especially if MJF does underhanded things to win. Wardlow gets its win back like a year from now when
Yeah.
MJF is champion, but will he be ready?
'Cause that was my thinking is that's why I had said I'm leaning towards Wardlow, but after after we just talked about it a little bit, I'm questioning it, but I started leaning towards Wardlow just because of that. Like, how do you end this? Because if MJF wins this match, it's definitely not going to just be straight up with his, with his wrestling. Like, he's definitely going to cheat. So then that still doesn't end this whole thing with those two.
What would possibly make a lot of sense, and something you said kind of led me to it, just thinking about it. Wardlow wins now.
Hmm.
When MJF becomes champion, Wardlow can be like, I want the
I've
first
already
shot
beat you.
because you remember the last time we got into the ring together? And so right off the bat, you get what could be a holy shit big type of match. But I think if it's super quick into MJF's reign and it's Wardlow, you would go MJF's getting his win back right here. But it would be a good story, like for his first defense kind of thing. It's so much fun with so many quality moving
It's
pieces to try to figure out what's gonna go where after because you can, as long as the twists and turns are good along the road and and they're in touch with what their fans want in terms of let these people be successful because these are what the fans want right now. This is what's hot. Then we'll cool off and cycle somebody else. And as long as they can continue to move the pieces around to get people their their good runs for like 6 months while keeping them relevant for the other time.
Yep.
It's so fun to kind of just imagine what could be a week from.
And then that's what I was just about to say. And then I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just thinking about it. Another guy that we've been talking about a whole lot recently, but I don't think it's going to be that soon. But Ricky Starks, we know he's got to be at the top at some point because he's just too good. Like that personality is just too big, too great.
My
Like
guess for
that's
him would be if Wardlow ever becomes top champion type material, like a timeline for him would probably be what, like 2 to 3 years from now? While
okay.
MJF
Yeah,
is
about
more like
same.
6 to a year and a half, like so he's a little
Yeah,
bit further out. I would probably put Ricky Starks in the same kind of territory as like a Wardlow. Like especially if he wins these tag titles. Because if he wins the tag titles, then he's going to have that championship reign. When he loses them, whatever that program may be, I do feel like he would be someone great to use the TNT title as a stepping stone. Like he could do great things with like the TNT title before ever becoming the champion. I could see that path. I don't know if he goes from tag team to world title in a quick fashion. I could see him being like in 3 years kind of person, 2 to 3.
mm, yeah.
But yeah, Golden, he needs to have some high profile feuds that really put the spotlight on him. You know what? Give him CM Punk next.
I like that.
Although if he wins the tag titles, that's a moot point.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if he wins the tag titles, we're just going on. We're moving on with tag titles, and him and Hobbs are gonna hold those titles for a second. In which, yeah, I'm I'm putting my money on it. Hobbs and Starks, new tag team champions.
I'm more than ready for that to happen.
I think we're both kind of on the same page about the tag team belts. Do you see? Do you see other belts changing hands? I know we talked about the world title that we both kind of see that going either way. Do you see any other belts changing hands?
TNT isn't
Z-
on the show.
mhm.
Okay, Jade isn't losing to Anna.
Yeah, Jade's definitely not losing that.
I don't think
If
Rosa is
like if
losing to
Jade
Deeb.
loses, that's
I don't feel like Rosa is going to lose to Deeb, but I would love for it to happen. There's too many, like Deeb's been on fire
mhm.
lately, so, and she's really really good. I would not mind seeing that happen. I think, well, let's see, Rosa got it right around St. Patrick's Day, so she's had it 2.5 months. Yep, let her have the
Yeah, yeah, a
shortest
little
reign.
less
Let
than
her
two and a
have
half.
a short reign. Yep, let's just move on to Deeb.
Yeah.
I think Rose
Let's
is gonna
go.
win, but I'm personally pulling for Deeb. You don't see the really short title reigns too often. Everyone kind of gets their moment, and her moment was basically beating Britt. After that, it's been a lot of nothing special. So I think they might want to lengthen it out and give her something meaningful as champion. But I'm all for Serena Deeb winning. That's personally who I want to win. I just don't
I
think
would not be against it. But yeah, yeah, like you said, I don't see it happening though, but I would definitely not be against it. Because I do like watching her wrestle. What about the Owen Hart tournament finals? I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. Ruby is if they
Oh,
make Ruby the winner of that match, that's a terrible decision. Like Britt needs to win this for the sake of people not losing their shit. so, so I like I Britt Baker for sure wins that one. But the men's, is it going to be Jay Lethal coming in to ruin it for Samoa Joe?
I don't even know because we talked about before they don't really do DQ and big things too much. But he could cost him. I don't think for the finals of the Owen they're gonna want to do anything too bad to affect the outcome. Um,
Mhm.
although I do want to mention on the women's one first, real quick. If Ruby wins, congratulations, you got your participation trophy. Samoa Joe's an unstoppable force. Adam Cole's a top star. I think
Yeah,
Adam Cole could actually lose and be okay here without having a super ton of interference or anything, and then maybe an attack. Um, I think if Adam Cole was to win, I feel like either way, Jay Lethal and them would be an after the match thing. I feel if anything, it'd be like Bobby Fish or somebody helping Adam Cole. So
not like
torn. I love Adam
oh
Cole,
wait,
and I want to
'cause
say
I was
Adam Cole. I'm gonna pick
yeah.
Samoa Joe.
Oh, he's picking Samoa Joe.
I think
Man,
maybe I'm just in a betting mood lately because of all my sports gambling.
yeah.
And I'm going with the odds to help me win a little bit of money on something I'm not even wagering on because I don't. If I had to put betting on it, I feel like Adam Cole should be the favorite, but I'm going with Samoa Joe.
I'd like to see Samoa Joe pick up the win in this match because I think, yeah, like you were saying, I think Adam Cole is fine whether he wins or loses. Like the people love him, so it doesn't matter if he wins or loses this match, in my opinion. But it could definitely boost Samoa Joe and his feud with Jay Lethal for sure because they really want to build this feud with Jay Lethal up.
Not only that, but if Joe manages to beat Adam Cole, possibly even after attempted help from Undisputed Elite or something, let's say he managed to overcome those kind of odds, and he is supposed to be like the unstoppable force kind of person. So any kind of loss to him is going to be more meaningful. Um, but if he's able to overcome odds, but then you have a 7'4" person come out and do something to Joe, it only helps prove a point on like, hey, Joe's a beast, but that's a big mother.
Yeah. So yeah, I can definitely see that being the case here is that Joe picks up the win and then they come in and stomp the shit out of him.
I think what could happen is if they have like a trophy celebration, it might be like during something like that.
Okay.
I could see something like that as opposed to having a lead pipe. Hey, we're gonna bash this trophy over your arm.
Hopefully they don't take a rubber sledgehammer and hit the title, hit the trophy, a la Sammy Guevara.
I was too
Yeah.
busy looking away from the screen because you had like tongues all over each other's faces.
Go away.